Hi, I'm Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and very hopeful time. And this is the care and feeding of a New World Age report for the Gregorian date of March 19th, 2013, and One Lamat, or Star, in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. We'll also discuss the sun moving into Aries for the equinox, Venus moving into Aries, and the Libra full moon. March 19th is One Lamat, or Star, which carries the themes of abundance, playfulness, fertility, growth, ripeness, physical pleasure, and spiritual inspiration, artistry, creation, joy, and humor. One star is also known as one rabbit or one Venus, and the glyph for star is the planet Venus, which is associated with death and rebirth, as Venus disappears as the evening star and then reappears as the morning star. And one of the things I really love about this is the synchronicity that during this one star trisena, we have Venus transiting behind the sun, which is called the superior conjunction. And then when it's during its retrograde cycle and it's in front of the sun, it spends about 8 days in front of the sun in the inferior conjunction when it cannot be seen due to its close proximity to the sun. And when Venus is moving behind the sun, as it is during this trisena for the superior conjunction, it's not visible for 50 days. And I think it's interesting that modern Mayanologists have emphasized the Venus transit across the face of the sun in relation to Mayan cosmology, but the Dresden Codex, which details precise knowledge of Venus's full cycle, makes no mention of the transit. It makes me wonder if this is a modern projection onto the Maya, because although the Venus transit during the inferior conjunction is remarkable when viewed from the Earth, it's certainly a lesser energetic force compared to the superior conjunction when Venus is behind the sun and moving in the same direction. After all, we Westerners love pyrotechnics, but we might have missed the boat regarding the actual energetic as it relates to the spiritual realm. And Venus is the evening star after the superior conjunction and before the inferior conjunction, which lasts approximately 260 days. And then it travels as the morning star after the inferior conjunction, before the superior. And again, this is another period of about 260 days. And 260 days is exactly the length of a Tzolkin round. In one star is the final trisena of the 260-day round. So the next care and feeding will celebrate a new round with one Amish or crocodile on April 1st. And I think that this 13-day period would be a time to be grateful for abundance or harvest in our lives, whether it's food or spiritual insight. And during the last report from March 6th, titled Prophecies Converge, March 2013, I discussed that Don Alejandro, the high priest of the Maya, had prophesied in 1999 that, and this is a quote, that you and I may meet again in another dimension after the year zero. And the year zero is the word of the Maya. On March 31st, 2013, the sun will be hidden for a period of 60 to 70 hours, and this is when we shall enter into the period of the fifth sun. Don Alejandro's prophecy is heralding a transition time to the earth being renewed and returned to a peaceful state where we all awaken, and to quote him, to build a country full of peace, love, tranquility, and prosperity. And this quote is in reference to the completion of the 13 Baktun and the beginning of the next cycle on the Mayan Tzolkin date of 13 Ahau. And for more details, you may want to review that past video. I referenced that I believe the timing of this is related to the superior conjunction of Venus to the Sun, which occurs on the 28th, within days of completing the Tzolkin round of 13 Ahau on the 31st. Um, Venus is one of the most important planets in Mayan cosmology, who called it the Great Star or the Wasp Star, which is embodied in the form of Kukulkan or Quetzalcoatl, the Plumed Serpent. And I believe that Venus forming a line with the Sun at the end of a Mayan Tzolkin round is very significant, related to the end of the fourth world and the beginning of the fifth world, as explained in Don Alejandro's Prophecy. And my friend Sharon Jorgensen took this even further by looking at the Mayan long count as 13 Baktun, where a tun is 360 days, a Baktun is 400 tun, giving us a total of 5,200 tun, which is 1,872,000 days, or 7,200 Tzolkin rounds. The Venus cycles are 104 Hob years of 365 days, which, when multiplied by 50, also give us a total of 5,200 Hob years, which is 1,898,000 days, or 7,300 Tzolkin rounds. Because Venus's superior conjunction is exactly 146 Tzolkin rounds over the 104 years. They fall within days of the end of the Tzolkin round on 13.5, which really brings a greater importance to the completion of this Tzolkin round, which may very well be what Don Alejandro was looking at in dating his prophecy for March 31st, 2013. And related to this, during this Trecena, we have the equinox, which is spring in the north and fall in the south, which is very significant when we look at the pyramid of Kukulkan, which consists of 9 terraces. And with a stairway leading up each of the 4 sides to the temple that's at the top, and the stairway on the north side runs down to sculptures of the plumed serpents. And during the afternoon of the spring and autumn equinoxes, the sun on the northwest corner creates triangular shadows that we see here, triangular shadows that give the illusion that the feathered serpent is crawling down the pyramid. And to see this, the observer is facing east, the direction that is associated with Quetzalcoatl's return, and the staircases each have 91 steps, and when added together with the temple platform as the final step, we have a total of 365 steps, which is exactly the number of the days in the Hob calendar year. This really makes me believe that we're looking at several Mayan events during this Trecena dedicated to Venus, connected with the plumed serpent's descent at the time of the Venus superior conjunction and the completion of a Tzolkin round and the long count. This is the end of one cycle and the beginning of another, which seems very powerful to me. And then on this equinox, as with years past, I thought I'd share a technique that I learned from Barbara Hand Clow regarding setting an intention for manifestation over the next year. In the north, the astrological year begins when the sun enters 0 degrees of Aries. And this year, this will occur on March 20th. But if you live south of the equator, then you want to implement this technique in September, when spring begins for you at 0 degrees of Libra. The idea is that we use the seasons to move our intentions through 4 stages. In the spring, we plant the seeds of our new ideas. And then during the summer solstice, we birth these ideas into physical form. In the autumn, we figure out what is working and create balance by weeding out the things that aren't working or that we're no longer interested in. And then from the winter solstice until the spring equinox, we reflect on our creations and contemplate the impact of our intentions on others. And each spring, I write down 3 intentions. Usually one's about career, one's about love, and one is about a personal or spiritual goal. And I word them as if they're already manifest. For instance, this year, one of my 3 intentions is that I'm so happy and grateful that I live comfortably on the resources provided for me by following my fascinations and sharing my creativity, experiences, and knowledge with others. I then follow the outline for planting these intentions as described in Barbara Hand Clow's book, Alchemy of 9 Dimensions, uh, uh, which is to visualize the intentions happening in my life so that I'm seeing myself researching topics that I'm interested in and interacting with others by being creative, which includes writing and playing music, along with writing and recording videos, or participating in radio shows, or discussing the events and stories of my life, and giving readings to those who invite me to provide information that may help them better navigate their lives, and receiving compensation for my efforts. Then I place these visualizations between my third eye, and I just hold them there. And once there's clarity about the images in my third eye, I then move the intention towards the back of my skull, close to the neck, and I hold the image there as if it's being projected on a movie screen until it becomes electrified, and then it's like, and then I just move to the next scene in the visualization. And once it's completed, this process with the 3 scenes in the intention I'm trying to manifest, then I just release it. I forget about the wish. And I have the intention. I have these intentions written down so I can check them during different points of the year, but particularly at the changing of seasons to move the intention into its next phase. And I found this has been really very effective when it's aligned with the season. When we plant these seeds on the spring equinox, and as we begin this One Lamat star Trecena, we have a stellium in Pisces that's breaking up as Mars has now entered into Aries, followed by the Sun and Venus, and moving from watery Pisces into fiery Aries around the equinox and into April, where they merge with Uranus and are challenged by Pluto, which brings another time period of upheaval and transformation. Mars wraps up with all these planets appearing to move forward from our vantage point on Earth, except Saturn, which appears to be retrograde. And as I've said before, planets don't really move in reverse in their orbits, but they appear to move backwards, much like being in a car that's passing a slower moving car. There's a point where the slower moving car appears to be moving in reverse when compared to landmarks in the far distance. And Saturn, appearing to be in reverse motion, can be compared to a time period of recuperation or having to backtrack regarding some obstacle in our path. And after its retrograde period, we can advance forward towards our goals with feeling a little more rested and with a little more of an efficient process, as long as we honor Saturn rather than trying to push through regardless of any resistance. And then we have Pluto is becoming more and more powerful as it begins to slow down prior to turning retrograde next month. And Pluto is affecting many of us as it's changing directions at 11 degrees of Capricorn to spend about 6 months as appearing to move in reverse from our vantage point on Earth. And this is a time of increasing intensity and force when superficiality just will not be enough. And I'm going to cover this in greater detail in the upcoming One Lamat report from April 1st. So let's look at these daily vibrational energies of this Trecena. March 19th One Lamat, or Star, which is unity experience through being grateful for abundant relationships, with the first quarter moon challenged by Venus and the Sun and supported by Neptune, which begins a day of enjoying being with loved ones, and then later the sort of feelings of tension in the structure of our daily lives. But then finally it shifts to dreams and fantasies, while letting go of the mundane things in life, so that we can really be refreshed by our creative and spiritual pursuits. And then the 20th is Tu Maluk, or offering, duality being experienced through appreciating creation, which brings us to the equinox, where the sun enters into the sign of Aries, spring in the northern hemisphere, autumn in the southern, and this is the time when light and dark are equal. And the charts of the solstices and equinoxes are valuable as a forecast for the upcoming season. And this equinox chart has the sun merging with Venus at the last degrees of Pisces. So it's going to merge with Venus in Pisces right before it moves into Aries, and where it then joins with Mars and Uranus in Aries, which indicates that we're going to be experiencing unexpected revolutionary changes during the next 3 months leading up to the solstice on June 21st. And Aries is a fire sign, which can increase the intensity. And this is a time of dramatic new beginnings. The chart of the equinox also has a grand trine between the moon in Cancer, Saturn in Scorpio, and Chiron in Pisces, with Neptune and Mercury close by, imparting its influence of emotionally harmonious energy for healing and filling the container that's provided by Saturn's limiting influence. With the moon ruling Cancer, this emphasizes our homes and families over the next few months, and Chiron puts the focus on healing. The Cancer moon is opposed by Pluto in Capricorn, which and squared by all these planets in Aries. We have all these planets in Aries, which is foreshadowing to the reoccurring transformational and revolutionary energy of the upcoming Uranus and Pluto square. And so this is a very significant time that we've talked about in past reports. But this can really be challenging to the home because of the Cancer moon, as big institutions continue to decay and collapse, which is Pluto in Capricorn. And while there's a strong potential for warfare and revolution coming from the Sun, Mars, and Uranus in Aries, that is moving us towards liberation from oppression and alienation. We'll also still have a very tight sextile mutual reception between the planets of Saturn in Scorpio and Pluto in Capricorn. So that has these two working as a team to bring about karmic judgment in March. So we're really reaping what we've sown during this time period, and then this is going to line up again in September. And when we consider that these two planets also form a 150-degree angle to Jupiter up in Gemini, what this does is this is what we call a yod, or a finger of fate, and is pointing at Jupiter in Gemini, which is in effect for the second half of March, but it peaks particularly between the 23rd and 25th. And Jupiter is about expansion. Gemini is communication. So being the focal point of this yod feels like an uncomfortable process where the truth comes out of karmic judgment over the next few months. And as the Cancer moon finds support from Mercury and Saturn and is challenged by Mars and Uranus, and opposed by Pluto, which begins the day with being in touch with our feelings and able to express them to others, along with the possibility for people to engage in needless disputes due to feelings of irritability. And then it later leads to hasty actions as people start to jump to conclusions, and then later taking a more sober, realistic view of life, and then finally having some very profound and not necessarily harmonious emotions that could lead to conflicts in our relationships based on our inner unrest that gets projected onto our relationships. Anyway, March 21st is 3 Ak, or dog, which is about taking action through enjoying family and friends, as Venus now enters into Aries, and which is continuing to bring the energy to burst forward on a new path. And this time it's about relationships, and it's either bringing in new hope or a new lease in life. Along with Saturn supporting Chiron, brings a time of working to overcome our limitations, to heal our wounds. And the moon in Cancer makes no aspects and is void, of course, all day, which is good for integrating all these new energies while taking some much needed downtime. And then on the 22nd, we have a 4 Shuin, or monkey, which is stability through creating something new, which is illustrated as Mars merges with Uranus. So from our perspective here on Earth, these would be at the same line. I've got Mars a little further along on this, but which is as if the train of all this new Aries energy has not only begun moving us along in a new direction, but now it's even moving beyond its recommended speed, and it gets to the point where our little choo-choo has just jumped the tracks and resembles more of a roller coaster rather than reliable mass transit. So we are definitely outside of the box by this point, when Mars' aggression is connected with the unexpected revolution of Uranus. Physical activities may be really helpful to channel this energy into more positive directions. And we also have the Leo moon finding support from Venus, the Sun, Uranus, and Mars, and in harmony with Jupiter and challenged by Saturn. The day's emotional energies shift from pleasant feelings towards those in our immediate environment, and then a sense of equilibrium between our inner and outer worlds, which gives way to craving emotional excitement and being able to assert ourselves in a positive manner. And then finally, having a pleasant sense of well-being, but feeling out of touch with others. And then March 23rd is 5 Eb, or road, and this in the Tzolkin, this is about empowerment through serving your community, as the moon in Leo makes no major aspects and is void, of course, all day. Again, this is great for rest and reflection, but it's challenging towards making any kind of major purchase or decision. The 24th is 6 Ben, or reed, which is about being in the flow through maintaining the home, as the Virgo moon is opposed by Neptune, which brings kind of confusing energy as we feel sensitive emotionally, but the impressions that we have may not actually be very accurate. And then on March 25th, we have 7 Ish, or jaguar, reflection through enjoying nature, with the moon in Virgo opposed by Mercury, harmonizing with Saturn, challenged by Jupiter, and supported by Pluto, which begins the day with a conflict between our thoughts and feelings that later shifts to wanting to be alone and reflective, and then feelings of generosity, and then finally having a greater sensitivity along with intensified emotions. The 26th is 8 in men or eagle. This is about balance through seeing from a higher perspective, as Mars now sextiles Jupiter, which means from our position here on Earth, this is a harmonious 60-degree angle, and Mars also is square to Pluto. So from our view here on Earth, Mars is making a challenging 90-degree angle to Pluto, and so the show goes on, and the wheels are coming off the wagon because we keep activating this Pluto square. Jupiter actually brings opportunities for activities and favors beginning a new enterprise, and Pluto adding energy to this for creative transformation, wanting to creatively transform the world around us. Mars is also aggressive energy, so it's important to use caution because others may be more easily triggered into a rage or violence with the square to Pluto. And Jupiter, on the other hand, may bring confidence in relation to Mars. With this much Martian energy, exercise again may be helpful to release the surge of drive to do some kind of positive physical activity. With the Libra moon making no angles, and again, void of course, for the whole day, which is not really supportive for major decisions or purchases. Again, this really is about giving us time to integrate all the shifting energies and new experiences that are coming in. There's 5 points in this report where the moon is not making any kind of connections, and those are really times to meditate and reflect and let that energy permeate our cells and not just keep going and going unconsciously when this is a major time of transformation, not only astrologically but in the Mayan calendar. Okay, and then March 27th is 9 Kib, or wisdom. This is patience experienced through introspection, meditation, and forgiveness. And it brings us the Libra full moon, which is about balancing our personal needs with the Sun, Venus, Mars, and Uranus in Aries, which is about the personal needs, and our sensitivity to the needs of those that we have emotional relationships with, which is the energy of the moon in Libra, which may be very difficult to balance this much energy because of so many planets in Libra's opposite sign of Aries. And we also have Jupiter squares Chiron and supports the moon, which could create a distraction to our healing process, as Jupiter may prefer to indulge rather than be faced with challenging, wounded emotional energy. Also, Mars is challenged by Pluto, which is not a happy story when you mix aggression with death and transformation. This is a very intense full moon. And then the 28th, this just keeps getting cooler and cooler, or crazier and crazier, but it's really, it's the snake shedding its skin. And the 28th is 10 Kaban, or Earth. This is about manifestation through gratitude for Mother Earth. And on that day, we have Mercury, and it makes a trine to Saturn. So from our perspective here on Earth, this is a supportive 120-degree angle, which may turn our thoughts and communications to more serious subjects, but it also favors business ventures. And then we have the Sun and Venus and Uranus. This is that big one. We have the Sun, from our perspective on Earth, we have the Sun, Venus, and Uranus all in a straight line. It's an exact line, and they all merge at 8 degrees of Aries. And the Sabian symbol for 8 degrees Aries is, and this is a quote, it's a large woman's hat with streamers blown by the east wind, which is interpreted as protection and spiritual guidance in the development of consciousness, with the hat representing protection against the forces of nature, as a rather strong wind activates the mental and particularly psychic forces. The East is traditionally the seat of spirituality, but it's also the direction of Kukulkan, return, as the streamers indicate the wind's source as they dance like the serpent's slithering moment in response to that the incoming breeze. And I think that this is really interesting because the images include a woman, Venus, and the winds of change, Uranus. This day will be full of surprises and is wonderful for self-expression in relationships, but you should be careful of unexpected disruptions in relationships if folks are feeling bored or routine. But this is the amazing time of the Sun, Venus, and Uranus in an exact alignment on March 28th, 3 days before the completion of the Tzolkin round. Excuse me. This could bring a chance encounter with somebody who could change our lives, or new information that takes our journey towards our true purpose in a new direction. And on this day, we have the Scorpio moon, and it makes no aspects and is void, of course, all day, which is good for integrating all these new energies while taking some really much needed downtime. The 29th, March 29th, is 11 et Snob, or Flint. This is resolution through being introspective, as we have Mercury in a square relationship with Jupiter. So it's a 90-degree angle. This is a challenging angle. And also Mercury makes a sextile, or a 60-degree harmonious angle, to Pluto, and it's merging with Chiron. Jupiter has us feeling optimistic about life and able to make plans by looking at the big picture. Pluto has us wanting to explore the mysteries of life and reflect on our deeper purpose. And this is the third time that Mercury in its retrograde cycle, that the communicator, the thinker, the trickster, has held an audience with the wounded healer. This brings finalized information about setting a new course of direction to leave behind the wounds of the past and sail towards the shores of our healing and transcendence, with the moon in Scorpio supported by Neptune and Mercury merging with Saturn in harmony with Pluto, which begins the day with daydreaming, interfering with accomplishing mundane tasks, and then later having a sense of isolation and loneliness, and finally feeling emotions on a profound level with the ability to express them to others. And then the 30th is 12 Kawak, or Storm. It's understanding through recognizing the gifts of adversity in the Tzolkin, and with the Sagittarius moon now making no major angles, and void, of course. This is great for rest, reflection. Again, challenging for making any real major changes or purchases, decisions. And then the last day of the month, March 31st, is 13 Ahau, or Sun. And this is interpreted as movement to the next stage through honoring the wisdom and memory of our ancestors, as we move not only to complete this Tzolkin Trecena, 13 days, but this Tzolkin round of 260 days, with Venus in a square relationship, again 90 degrees looking from the Earth to Pluto, and sextile to Jupiter. This is a 60-degree harmonious angle, which is about deep emotional experiences, and yet another time period when we're going to hear back maybe from past romantic partners, with Venus under the influence of Pluto, but along with Jupiter, which brings a feeling of being at peace with the world. And on that day, we also have the sun forming a 90-degree square angle with Pluto, which tests us regarding how we're going to live our lives from both within and without on the date. And that's what the test is. And this is happening on the date that Don Alejandro prophesies that the sun would be hidden for a period of 60 to 70 hours as we enter into the period of the fifth sun. And the 31st has the moon in Sagittarius, challenged by Neptune and Mercury, and supported by Uranus, the Sun, Venus, and opposed by Jupiter, which begins the day with a sort of a dreamy state where fantasies are more important than reality. Excuse me. And then later has us craving emotional excitement, and then shifts to feelings of harmony with benevolence to others and enjoying friends and food and drink. And then finally the day wraps up with people being critical in their communications with those that they have an intimate relationship with. Powerful times, friends. So anyway, no matter what the energies that are affecting you during this One Lamat Star Tzolkin, please take some time out to be in the flow with the planet by being in nature, watching a sunrise or a sunset, communing with the stars, being conscious of the moment through introspection or meditation, or being conscious by being with somebody that you truly love. Every single day we have is a blessing, no matter what the dramas are that beckon to distract us. We're all here giving the performance of a lifetime on the world stage. So please just take some time out to observe the play as well as act your part by remembering that you are a spiritual being that's having a human experience. As always, I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of Care and Feeding of a New World Age will be on April 1st, 2013, for one Yamesh or crocodile, and the beginning of a new Tzolkin round. And we're also going to discuss the Aries new moon, Pluto turning retrograde, Mercury moving into Aries. So you can check us out on Facebook or YouTube or the Mayan Magic's website. And I'm going to be a guest on the Earth Needs Rebels show on Orion Talk Radio on April 1st. And on that show, I'll be discussing the April 2013 astrology. And I'll be providing some very short, 10 to 15 minute human design readings for anyone who's participating and wants to call into the call-in numbers, which I post on the Facebook page, or anyone who's in the chat room. And I encourage you to share the information in these videos or the text of these videos as widely as you choose. And feel free to email me your birth information if you would like me to read your chart on the show. As always, I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. And I am providing private readings and wish to make this service available to the greatest amount of folks. So I've created 3 options with 3 levels of compensation. And these readings are really designed to provide information to help you navigate these difficult times. Or on the basic level, we'll look at your human design chart to help you understand how to use your individual strategy and authority in making life decisions based on your unique design. I include 3 months of astrological transits as they relate to your natal and progressed astrology charts, along with the human design reading at the middle level. And at the top level, the human design and astrology transit reading will be recorded and sent to you on an MP3 file that you can download to your computer. So if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to give you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll either have to be able to call me in Maine, in the USA, or we can connect over Skype to receive your reading. And also accepting donations. I'm trying to just keep these reports going but they keep going based on income from readings or income from donations. As always, I am blessed that you have taken the time out to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. In Lakesh. And I'm looking forward to connecting on one Imesh at the beginning of another Tzolkin round and welcoming the Fifth Sun. Peace, everybody.